Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, quick note to Chart Guys members before we get into it. I forgot to mention this during the live stream here at the end of the day, but Chart Guys Jason has volunteered for anybody that's looking for opportunity outside of the MJ sector. Certainly we've been trying to encourage people to broaden their horizons. There's nothing worse than being a one sector pony when your one sector is not providing opportunity, and there's other opportunity out there. So if you are a Chart Guys member and you feel like you want to expand beyond the MJ sector, because you are getting bored, or you're losing money, or you are trying to trade in an environment that is not ideal, send Chart Guys Jason a message and he will help transition you into other sectors and get comfortable with them. I also appreciate the comments about the mic quality, definitely noticing an issue on my end and working to rectify it. And if this little clip has better audio than the rest of the video, that means that I am fixing things. Hey everybody, checking in on the MJ sector. So still leaving some names off the list. The names that are in free fall with no support nearby. C-Web, new all-time lows today. Hexo is in free fall with a weak close. ACB is in free fall, but we're keeping it on the list because it has some, I don't know, I guess it's popular. People are interested in it. But the bottom line is, as I've said many times, the sector has to perform as a unit if we're going to see a sector momentum shift from a 7-month downtrend to some bull relief. And as long as the weakest names continue to drop to lower lows with no support in sight, it's going to act as a weight around the ankle of the bulls, not allowing any kind of sentiment shift. It's an overgeneralization, but the sector is only as strong as its weakest names to a certain degree with the age of the sector right now as it's trying to find its footing in this stock world. So let's not lose sight of a couple of things. Number one, APHA earnings are in 3 more trading days, and they are likely going to dictate whether or not we can see weekly trend changes. If we have a bullish reaction, we will likely see APHA change its weekly trend and get a bull break over 561. Although at this point, that needs more, well over a 10% move, almost 15% plus to change the weekly trend here. So if that happens, we'll look at the rest of the sector to correlate to it. If it is a bearish reaction to APHA, we have a lot of monthly bear flags out there. Is it possible that CGC is a monthly bear flag to drop to lower lows in the next couple of months? It's absolutely possible. Do I think it's the most likely scenario? No, but you better believe I'm going to prepare that it possibly is, and that may end up playing out, especially if we cannot change weekly trend changes, and APHA would have if it has a bearish reaction to earnings, that would increase the odds of monthly bear flags. So again, there's still a lot of work to do, and we're still just struggling to get a weekly trend change, which has not happened yet. Daily time frame for CGC, pulling back significantly. We held the low of yesterday. We broke the high of yesterday, but as soon as we broke that high of yesterday this morning, we knew not to get overly excited. And the reason was we had not consolidated on the hourly chart from yesterday's move. So we were overextended. There's no hourly trend change there. We just went straight from 1948. We broke 2026. That's great. But no hourly higher low and higher high took place. So I did make a bullish entry on Cron based off of that bull break just to start an initial small position, and I'll talk about that more when I get to Cron. But the fact that I knew that we did not have an hourly trend change on CGC kept me keeping that position very small and remaining very patient before I added anything, which I never ended up doing. So CGC at this point still needs an hourly trend change. What I'm looking at is our low, high, which did break resistance but did not change the trend. Now we're looking for a higher low to try and form. Have to hold 1948 with a higher low, and we would have to break 2044 at this point for a clear hourly trend change. So trying to set a daily higher low, no follow through at this point, and still holding on better than most other names. You can see APHA, daily lower high, lower low. We're right back to where we came from 5 days ago. That level was 464. The low of today is 466. I am watching for bulls to buy the dip before earnings. This is the kind of play that I make leading into earnings. Normally it's a more extended move, but when you see this significant of a pullback, You can anticipate psychologically that traders and investors are going to say, okay, APHA has had a bullish reaction its last two earnings. We're down 13% in the last 4 days. We're going to be looking at the potential of a discount here. If we can get in on this 4-day sell-off, and if it's a beat on earnings, we're going to see some nice upside. So that's something to keep an eye out for the next few days for some kind of bounce. We'll just be looking for a lower high on the daily bounce, but just looking for some short-term relief because those earnings are approaching. Same thing, hourly downtrend still very clear. Lower highs and lower lows. Anything under 480 is an hourly lower high at this point. ACB already broke to lower lows. The daily bear flag is confirmed. And again, there is no support down here. We closed at the low of the day, and after 183, the next support level, looking way back, is down at 186. That broke. 163 is the next level, and we are giving back a ton of this move. ACB is in trouble. There's no two ways around it. This chart is in a lot of trouble, and it's saying that there's a lot. You know, I'm not a fundamental guy, but this chart tells me there's something wrong with the fundamentals of ACB. Yes, obviously the downtrend of the sector has played a significant part in this pullback, but how many times has the chart shown us something in advance, whether it was the weakness leading up into the APHA short report or just any other scenario where we have significant weakness and then we have information saying, oh, that's why, that makes sense. So ACB, free fall, nowhere near changing any kind of momentum, and again, a burden to the sector. TLRY, I forgot to look at that today, but new all-time lows. Burden to the sector as well. Cron. So Cron's coming up to a key little base of support, 656 and 658. And initially, that's the support level that I'm looking to make a play off of. So I made a small entry this morning, first thing, at about 685. And then as soon as I saw CGC start to pull back and hit a new low of the day, knowing it had not changed its hourly trend, I said, all right, I'm not entering any more positions. I had the mindset of entering my second position in the 660s, but the last thing I'm going to do is enter a bull position on a weak close. Pretty much every scenario we've seen recently, if it's going to close weak, there's going to be plenty of opportunity tomorrow. So I am still interested in potentially entering the second position based off of 656 support, but I would have to see something in the sector, some kind of spark tomorrow morning that gives some kind of indication that a temporary bottom is found. We're looking for a shift in momentum. We've seen that one big bull move, but now it's been 4 days of consistent sell-off, and we're going to be looking for a shift back to just a short-term bounce. So that's what I'm looking for on Cron, and right now my stop is under 656. If 656 holds tomorrow morning, I will look to add a second position and put the stop for both of those positions under 656. And at that point, let's say I enter at 660, my break even would be 673, and it wouldn't take a whole lot to get back to that point. So still fairly low risk, and again, small position sizes, knowing how much space I had before my stop out level of 656. So still keeping an eye on things on Cron, but anything under, we've got resistance now at 672 and 684, two little resistance levels on Cron. OGI, almost in free fall. $2 is the only nearby support. If $2 breaks, we're in free fall. And it would join we can create a group, burden to the sector. ACB, Hexo, TLRY, OGI, CWeb are the names that are on that list for me right now. If $2 breaks, next level we're looking at is down at 180. CTST looks like we've topped out here. So again, we knew anything under 158 was a weekly lower high on CTST, and you know that when you run that hard, better be quick to exit, because the last thing you want to be doing is holding the bag, a new fresh bag, from buying into this strength. So we've got our high, and now we're looking for a higher low compared to 79 cents. We're watching for hourly oversold conditions. We're not close to those yet. Let's see with extended hours on. Still not close. Well, we got fairly close today, but worth scouting for a daily higher low if you want some high risk, high volatility names. Let's see if $1 support can hold. And we will be watching for an equilibrium to be the end result of that. We'll be looking for our low, high, scouting the higher low, and then we'll look for a lower high once that bounce does take place. VFF broke the low of the last week, Now it's just 561 and 540 supports in the short term. Labs. So Labs is getting further pullback. Weekly lower highs certainly looking set at this point. The bulls must hold 333 support for a weekly higher low. If I'm looking to play off that support, I want to see a waterfall. I want to see the bears get as extended as possible down to 333, so I know that worst case, we are likely to get at least a short-term bounce off that level, and I could potentially maneuver to put myself in a break-even stop. Let's say I entered 10,000 shares at 340. My stop is under 332. And then if we bounce to 348, sell half of my position, and then I'm riding free. So if we keep dropping fast, let's see if we get to hourly oversold conditions. If we break the low of today, tomorrow, we will be in hourly oversold conditions. I personally would like to see the price in the 340s if I were going to be bottom fishing off 333. But we will look for that 333 support level to hold, at least initially. So VLNS, the pullback now is sizable enough that we're going to be looking for an equilibrium as opposed to a continuation move. Too big of a pullback to be looking for continuation as the most likely scenario. So we're going to look for a lower high once we bounce. No sign of an hourly trend change at this point. Anything under 339 is just an hourly lower high. And we would have to see a clear hourly trend change to be confident in that daily higher low. If we see further weakness tomorrow and break 320, if we get to hourly oversold conditions, that's when we can start scouting for a daily higher low as well. IIPR, I might be interested in IIPR in the next couple days. I would like to make an entry in the mid 70s using 71.90 as my stop. Very clear resistance in the $77 to $78 range, actually just the $78 range right here. So I would need to see on the 4-hour time frame a higher low where I would like to enter potentially tomorrow, and then a bull break of those resistances, which would make it much more convincing that our weekly higher low is established and we're shifting back to look towards 87.20 resistance. So I do have interest in IIPR into tomorrow. Curaleaf still pulling back. Again, looking more and more like this weekly lower high is being set, and now we have to look for a weekly higher low compared to 690. That's the most important support in this tightening weekly range. Yet another name that is failing to change the weekly trend and prove anything to us as bulls. OH, looking for a daily higher low to form. Short-term support of 536 did break. So we need the hourly trend change. Bulls would have to hold 530 and break 555 to change the hourly trend tomorrow. If we break 530, it means patience because we're not ready yet. And if 530 does break, hourly RSI will be approaching. So again, scouting for hourly oversold conditions to potentially be a first indication for a daily higher low. If I'm looking to be aggressive, I can look for an hourly oversold bounce for the daily higher low. If I'm looking to be conservative, I'm waiting for an hourly trend change. CL. So CL is giving a lot of this move back. Again, a playoff of 726 support is approaching. What I wouldn't like is the increasing bear volume if I were a bull. The hourly RSI will be oversold if we break the low of today, tomorrow. So if we were to drop down under 750, we'd start getting close to 726 support. The hourly RSI would be pretty crushed, and we would be looking for a playoff of that. But again, what has kept us from having FOMO and rushing into bullish positions is knowing that so many of these charts, yeah, great daily trend change, but we know you're not doing anything on the weekly time frame and longer term perspective, because on this entire move, it was off of the low, and we need a clear weekly trend change if we're going to be shifting sentiment. TRUL I'm interested in tomorrow as well. 4-day pullback. We're expecting a weekly higher low compared to the low of the dump. So high, low, lower high, and now we're scouting a higher low compared to 1206. Hourly RSI is oversold. So if we break the low of today, first thing tomorrow, if we start red, again, it's a bit tricky because there's no real support aside from 1206 in this range, but we know we're getting down to extreme levels, and I would be comfortable starting to scale in for a playoff of 1206 support if we see some red first thing tomorrow morning. IAN giving it all back from the last couple days. How did we know not to get too excited about IAN as bulls? Number one, we didn't establish any support on the way up. So if you don't establish support, it's very easy to give it all back. Number two, the weekly time frame. We knew anything under 245 was a weekly lower high. It's looking like we set that weekly lower high at 216, and now the bulls would have to hold 149 and break 216 to change the weekly trend. Close at the low, high bear volume, technically still in a daily uptrend if 167 can hold, but again, obviously a big red flag to get back this much move. And what is the biggest red flag? Look at the bull volume on the way up, look at the bear volume on the way down. You never want to see increasing bear volume on a pullback if you're a bull. GTII, looking for a daily high or low. Need the hourly trend change. We got right to hourly oversold conditions at the end of the day. Anything under 1207 is just an hourly lower high. We would have to bounce tomorrow morning, then hold the low, and then change the hourly trend if the daily high or low is going to be set tomorrow. But again, we're getting close. It's worth watching for. Harv, looking for the daily high or low. Hourly RSI approaching oversold. Anything above 288 is a daily high or low. So patiently watching. And MedMen, who cares? Not doing anything, sideways trading, change the weekly trend and I'll be interested. So I expect a green day in the MJ sector tomorrow, or what day is it? Tomorrow or Thursday. There's a lot of setups right now where I'm looking at everybody consolidating, a lot of names looking for a daily higher low to form, and just looking for that short-term momentum shift for the daily higher lows to form to see short-term bounces. So that's what I'm scouting for. But again, you want to be very picky as a bull. Make the bulls prove it to us, because the bears have had it on easy street and they still do at this point in time. And until we change weekly trends, that will remain the case. And right now, we're not seeing anybody change their weekly trends. So remaining skeptical, keeping an eye out for setups, but trading the sector way less until we can get some clarity. Hope you had a good day, and we will see you tomorrow.